We are building a grassroots movement around the state of people who care deeply about our kids and want to do something about it. We've developed a platform of 10 major issues that we want to bring up this year, both in the legislature and in local communities. And today we held a planning meeting with the sort of north central West Virginia region, saying we want to do this. We want to stand up for our kids and take on these issues.
We're going to help kids who are poor in the state. Providing health insurance to 100,000 of their parents is a pretty massive thing. And folks said this is among our top priorities this year. And it's up to the governor to say yes or no. And right now, he's not made his decision. Number two is protecting family violence prevention. We have programs at the state level, including things like home visiting, where community workers go into the homes of parents who may be at risk for drug abuse or child abuse or are living in poverty, and say, hey, here's how we can help you at the beginning. Get on your feet and learn some parenting skills, things that I as a new parent would have appreciated too, so that they're making that transition. We want to protect those programs. They're new, they're a powerful tool for preventing child abuse, preventing the cycle of poverty, breaking the cycle of poverty. Number three is stopping child care cuts. There was a proposal to cut 1,400 families out of the state child care program. It would move from 185% of the poverty line down to 150% of the poverty line. Well, if you do that, if you cut someone's child care, it presents a pretty horrible choice, right? You have to either decide to quit your job so you can make less money so you can get the benefit back, or you've got to leave your kid with someone who isn't your first choice. And we've heard stories about parents who are saying, well, maybe I'll leave him with my 10-year-old, or maybe I'll leave him with the great-grandmother who's blind. And literally, these are the choices families would have had to make. We've postponed those cuts, but we haven't found a permanent solution. So that's number three. Number four is healthy foods in schools. This is actually two issues in one. One is making sure that soft drinks are not being sold in our classrooms, but also there are about 13 different experimental healthy foods programs going on in schools around the state, which is phenomenal. West Virginia's actually done a really good job of experimenting with these things. The thing that hasn't yet happened is for each school district to say, well, what's everybody else doing, and how do we bring the best of what everybody else is doing to ours? We're looking for people in this meeting, someone in this meeting, or a couple people in this meeting to say, we will do some of that research and be ready in March to present on the healthy foods issue. And number five is bipartisan prison reform. If you go to the legislature and you say, for instance, the child care cuts, those are federally funded, so there's a way to get that money without going into the state budget, but protecting family violence prevention, number two, costs state money. And they're going to say, well, how do we do this if it costs money? And part of our answer is, we're spending $23,674 a year for every prisoner we incarcerate for that year. And when you talk about 6,800 prisoners, that's $170 million. So there is prison reform on the table this year that would drastically reduce the number of, it wouldn't even really reduce the number of people who are being sentenced. What it would do is take those folks who have good behavior, who are not a risk to society, and find ways to smartly put them into programs that don't involve them being incarcerated. And the estimates are that will save in the tens of millions of dollars.
I thought it was really good. I mean, the strength of this is that it's not just legislators, and it's not just parents, and it's not just social service workers, and it's not just attorneys, and it's not just business people. It's everybody coming together. And so it was a really lively conversation because of that diversity, but I think ultimately a productive one. And it's exciting to see people come together for something where they've never met before. I mean, a lot of people knew each other, right? But generally, this is the first time this group has met, and they said, you know what, we're going to do this. We are going to make this forum happen, and we're going to find a date and a time and push through until we do it. And that's really exciting. It's good. The real question in all of this is, are we committed for 2 months, or are we committed for the next 20 years? Because it took a generation for us to get into the mess we're in, right? the jobs left, the drugs came in, our schools have been doing the best they can given those circumstances, but they've, slowly performance is getting worse. So all of these things are in front of us, and if we only work for the next 2 months, it'll be a nice little project. But the real question is, can we keep this kind of momentum and continue to build more and more power